Okay?
Okay, start.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Shaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye Shrimvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Hridayantasto Abhadrani Vihunoti Suhrisata नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्ते भवति नैष्ठिकी अत्र श्री भागवतम की Hare Krishna. So today we will be covering um, 5 verses from Canto 3.
Speak little.
They become too hard. So today we will be covering Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 3, verse 24 to 28. There are 5 verses that we have to capture, that we have to cover today. The title of the section, as given by His Grace Balaram Prabhu in Saranam to Me, is the departure of the Yadu dynasty from the earth. So here's in brief the summary of what we are planning to capture here. First we'll start with the theme. So the theme is obviously this transcendental pastime of disappearance of the Yadu dynasty, where they were cursed by the Brahmana sages, and then finally they disappeared from this world. And then within that we will cover points about the highly cultured behavior actually of Yadu dynasty, the glory of Varnashram system, which is being described in translations as well as in the purports by Srila Prabhupada, and then the danger of committing offense towards a devotee. And there will be many other subpoints that we'll cover. Alright, so although we know we have smaller number of people in number, maybe total 4 of them, but still if you give me your energy, then I will also be able to do justice to this lecture. So I request everybody to be present so that I can myself be present 100% during this time, so we can offer due respect to Srimad Bhagavatam, these 5 verses. Right? So we'll start with the first verse, Canto 3, Chapter 3, verse 24. Puryam kadachit क्रीडाद्भिर्यदु भोज कुमारकै कोपिता मुनयः शेपुर्भगवन्मतकोविदा. Puryam, in the city of Dwarka, kadachit, once upon a time, Kridadbhihi, by sporting activities, Yadu, the descendants of Yadu, Bhoja, the descendants of Bhoja, Kumaraka, a princess, Kopita, being angry, Munaya, the great sages, Shepu, cursed, Bhagavat, the personality of Godhead, Mata, desire, Kovidha, cognizant. Translation, by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Once upon a time, great sages were made angry by the sporting activities of the princely descendants of the Yadu and Bhoja dynasties, and thus, as desired by the Lord, the sages cursed them. So this is, in a very short summary, this is the chapter is called Lord's pastimes outside of Vrindavan. So this is a very short summary of the Lord's pastimes given here, and the detail of this is coming, later on in, 10th canto, 11th canto, etc. Okay, so what this particular pastime is, if people know about this, that the Yadu dynasty people, that they, in their sporting proclivity, they actually they ended up insulting sages. And what they actually did was, there was Shamba, who was the son of Jambavati, and they dressed as a woman and as a pregnant woman. And these other Yadu dynasty princes, they took Shamba, who is dressed as a pregnant woman, took him in front of the sages and said, approximately, basically said that this lady is pregnant. Can you tell whether this lady will have a son or not? And all that. So they were just trying to joke with the Brahmanas. And the Brahmanas became very upset at this. And they said that what is going to come out of the belly of this lady is going to be an iron mace, which is going to destroy the entire dynasty. So they became very fearful when they took out when they saw the belly of obviously the artificially made belly. What came out was really an iron mace, and then that iron mace, they were very bewildered and all that. But after that they begged forgiveness, I think, from the Brahmanas. But they went back to Dwarka, and they gave it to Ugrasena. And I think I don't know the exact details of the story, but they tried to cut the iron mace ground it into powder, because they thought this is going to destroy the entire dynasty. And they ground it into powder. They put it in the ocean. But in the ocean, all that was eaten by a fish, and then the fish was captured by a fisherman, and then the fisherman, when he cut open the fish, he saw the iron piece. I think from that he made some kind of an arrow. And I don't know exactly what that arrow was used for. I couldn't get that information, but it was basically the same iron mace with which they jogged finally ended up causing this the fall of the Yadu dynasty. So the first point which Prabhupada makes in this particular purport is, if you look into this translation, it says Bhagavat Mata Kovidaha, as desired by the Lord. So this transcendental pastime, this pastime is called as a transcendental pastime, as desired by the Lord. That is very different from quote unquote pastimes that we go through in our lives. That if I get angry, right, like I experienced recently, if I got angry. So when I got angry, that's not a transcendental pastime. That's not desired by the Lord. That is something because I have lost control over the anartha within me, because of which the krodha is coming out. So I could see the clear difference, and that's where I think that's why Prabhupada is very strong to clarify. Not just Prabhupada is very strong to clarify. In the verse itself, it's being mentioned as desired by the Lord. So first of all, how do we understand that this is the transcendental pastime? First of all, who are the participants in this pastime? So who are the participants? Who are the two participants?
Sages.
The sages are there, and the
Children of
and the Yadu dynasty princes are there. So who are the Yadu dynasty princes?
Riders, your demigods.
Yeah. So son of Jamal. So what's their position? And they are sons of Krishna. But what's their original position?
Eternally liberated souls.
Yeah. So there are two types, and which will be clarified in another verse. There are eternally liberated souls, and second, demigods. So these demigods are eternally liberated. So that is their position. So that position is a very exalted position. So they didn't commit. They were not, this is desired by the Lord just to teach a lesson. So the Lord associates not ordinary living entities. And a proof of that comes in this fact that it's later on in the verses, we'll see how highly cultured were the princes of the Yadu dynasty. Alright? And the second are the sages. And the sages, Prabhupada clarifies in the purport of pure devotees. These sages were pure devotees. So they are not influenced by anger. Like how I just mentioned about myself. I got influenced by anger. That's not coming from that. So it's based on, and also they will be influenced by anger based on sporting activities by the associates of the Lord Himself. These are descendants of Lord Himself, and they do some sporting activity. The pure devotees are not going to get angry. So that's why this is the transcendental pastime. So this is the, and so what is the purpose of this pastime? This is the second thing Prabhupada clarifies in the purport. So the purpose of this pastime is, anybody can make a guess?
Is to wrap up the pastimes.
That's true. So it's to wrap up the pastimes, but in this purport there is another important point which Prabhupada mentions.
We shouldn't offend Brahmins.
Yeah, we should. It's basically to teach a lesson. That's the point. Which is, we have anything, any pastime of the Lord. Lord is the most smartest of all. So He does multiple things by one particular pastime. So in this pastime, the Lord is saying that even if you are in the position of being the descendant of the Lord Himself, what kind of a position is that as compared to the position of, as compared to all of anybody else's position, essentially. So even if you are in that position, if you offend a nice devotee, then you will have to suffer the consequences. This is pretty heavy. And the consequence is not simple. They just did one joke around, and actually their whole dynasty is being wiped out. So it's very strong. I was thinking about this point that, we have to do our services, we have to do so many things that we do, but really we have to be careful in terms of offense towards a devotee, how I can, and this is the danger if I myself fall into. And there is, we always will be, especially we are doing services with devotees, and whether devotees here or devotees at home, etc., anywhere, basically we are dealing with devotees. If we are offending devotees, then this is the kind of consequence which can come to us. So this is the important point which is being mentioned here. 45 minutes is the time. So if you can remember that. 3.3 or 25. Tata kathi payer maser vrishni bhojana tha भोजन धकादयः वयु ययु प्रभासं संसृष्टा रथे देवा विमोहितः. A few months passed, and then, bewildered by Krishna, all the descendants of Vrishni, Bhoja and Andhaka, who were incarnations of demigods, went to Prabhasha, while those who were eternal devotees of the Lord did not leave but remained in Dwarka. So here Prabhupada is specifying in the translation itself that a few months passed, and then, bewildered by Krishna. So again Prabhupada is saying that these people, a few months passed after this thing, after this problem has happened, this pastime has happened, and then all the descendants of Vrishni, Bhoja and Andhaka, who were incarnations of demigods, went to Prabhash. So these devotees who were incarnations of demigods, they went to Prabhash Kshetra. But others who were eternal devotees of the Lord, so there are these two types, they stayed back. And there is no further purport. But how they went, because they were bewildered by Krishna, Deva Vimohitaha. So again, the same point is being mentioned, that it's the Lord Himself who is arranging these things.
What specifically happened? What is the bewilderment caused by Krishna?
So bewildered by Krishna, they went to Prabhasha Kshetra. And then there, that whole pastime happened, which is not being described later on these 3 verses, but this whole pastime where they ended up killing each other. The whole Yadu dynasty people, they ended up killing each other. Right? So that pastime happened. So why they went to Prabhas Kshetra, this pastime is bewildered by Krishna, they went there and then they got intoxicated and they killed each other. Alright? Next verse. Tatrishnaatva pitrindevan rishimschaiva tadambhas. Okay, nobody is reading, maybe you follow me then. Tatrishnaatva pitrindevan.
Pitrasnatva Pitrideva
Rishimshchaiva tadambhasa
Vishimshchaiva tadambasa
Tatra prayitvatha viprebhyo Gavo bahu guna daduhu.
Gavu Bahu Gunadadu
Tatra there, Snatva by taking bath, Pitrin forefathers, Devan demigods, Rishin great sages, Cha also, Eva certainly, Tat of that, Ambhasa by the water, Tat Tarpa Yitva by pleasing, Atha thereupon, Viprebhya unto the Brahmanas, Gavaha cows, Bahuguna greatly useful, Dadhu giving charity. Translation. After arriving there, all of them took bath, and with the water of this place of pilgrimage, they offered their respects to the forefathers, demigods, and great sages, and thus satisfied them. They gave cows to the Brahmanas in royal charity. So, these three verses 26, 27, and 28, which are going to come, this will show the highly cultured natures of the Yadu dynasty princes. Okay, so here they are saying, first of all, they took bath with the water of this place of pilgrimage, they offered their respects to the forefathers, the demigods, and great sages. So there is an offering of respect, there is doing those rituals, and finally they are giving charity. And the first charity that is being mentioned is they gave cows to the Brahmanas in royal charity.
What's the significance of going to Prabhasa?
What is that place, Prabhasha Kshetra? I couldn't find out about that. It's a
Here
holy
they
place.
said that when Krishna knew that because the Brahmanas are cursed and many terrible circumstances will come, so then Lord Krishna collects all the wise and elder members of the Yadu dynasty and he reminds them that the Brahmanas have cursed us like that. And then he convinces them to go to Prabhasu Kshetra where they can save themselves by performance of ritual bathing, charity and so on.
Oh, okay.
So then the
demigods
What?
That's what the previous.
Yeah, the demigods went there. But okay, so that's good point, which is, I think this is probably, it's coming in the later cantos. That, yeah, in the 11th canto it is being mentioned that they are going for that reason. But if you're asking what is it's a holy place of pilgrimage, but I couldn't figure where, like a modern context, where exactly it is. Maybe it is mentioned.
Yeah, that's what I wanted. The
Yeah.
significance is so that they can
In the
perform
modern
charity
context,
and
I'm not sure
sacrifice.
where Prabhas
She
Kshetra is.
wanted to know why they went to Prabhasa.
Okay,
What
why
is
they?
this?
Okay, so why they went to Prabhas Kshetra is this, yeah. Alright. So here Prabhupada talks about, because it is being mentioned before in the previous one, about the devotees who were eternal associates of the Lord, they stayed back, but the devotees who were demigods, they went. So Prabhupada, the first thing he talks about is the divisions of devotees. So there are three divisions of devotees. First is Nitya Siddha. Nitya Siddha means they never fell down at all. It means they never fell sick, basically. And sometimes they come to execute the mission of the Lord. So here in this case is the pastime of the Lord, which is of Prabhupada, in which Prabhupada, one time he said that I didn't want to come here to this material world. But Krishna said, no, you go. And you go and you write some books and I'll take care of you. So this is an example of Prabhupada obviously didn't share things, in his humility he didn't share things openly like that, but there is past time where he did share this point that he didn't want to come, but he came. So this is an example of Nitya Siddha. That means they were always liberated and they have come to execute the mission of the Lord. In fact, I heard in lecture that there are in that also two types are there. One is who are asked by the Lord to come, and one is who come on their own. Like that, So, like we hear, like Prahlad Maharaj, he says, I want to stay here just to help all the devotees, all the bewildered people, so that they can go back. This is their compassion of the Lord. Whereas the sadhana siddhas, there is sadhana siddhas, that means Prabhupada says they are chosen from the conditioned souls. So the sadhana siddhas are the people who engage in bhakti, the sadhana bhakti, or basically they are engaging in a regulated practice so that they can be elevated to a similar position. So in one of the lectures I had heard that the sadhana siddhas can be compared to like they are taking medicine regularly because they are sick. So they are taking medicine regularly. The third is Kripa Siddhas. Prabhupada doesn't talk about Kripa Siddhas in this particular purport, but Kripa Siddhas is, we have heard this before, three primary types are there. The Kripa Siddhas means they are recipients of special mercy. Right? So our question should be, are we sadhana siddhas or nitya siddhas or kripa siddhas?
Can sadhana siddhas or kripa siddhas become nitya siddhas? Can these positions be changed?
Yeah, that's also a good question. What is our position? That's a theoretical question. What is our position?
Our version is
Huh?
Kripa Siddhas. Should be Kripa because at least I didn't have that much curiosity to. Some devotee has brought me up.
So this actually I heard from Madhav Chandrabu. I think he's on the phone. I heard him. I think he say sometime he heard that we think of there is an understanding of Kripa Siddha can also be that when Mahaprabhu was there, he would look at this baby Narayani and say, Narayani, cry in ecstasy for Krishna. And in Shiva's Thakur's home, Narayani is the mother of Vrindavan Das Thakur. So she is looking at Narayani and saying, cry in ecstasy. And she starts crying in ecstasy. She immediately becomes a pure devotee. So this is also an example of Kripa Siddha. Right? So in the lecture that I heard, His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj was giving the example of intravenous injection. So it's like you can give an injection and immediately pure devotee of the Lord. Like that, chanting Hare Krishna is like that. So obviously when we give our classes also, we are hoping somebody can just become like immediately chanting Hare Krishna like that. Doesn't happen. But when Mahaprabhu was there, even when Prabhupada was there, interestingly Harilas Prabhu was sharing this example that just a few weeks Harilas Prabhu was in London with the devotees at the very start. But he said he had such a strong experience in a few weeks of Krishna consciousness in London that when he came back, he left that place and he came back. And he came back to Paris and he said, I tried to just lead a normal life, material life. And he said, I couldn't do that because it was such a strong experience. So this is, in one sense, Kripa, which is coming. So actually all of us are getting Kripa, special Kripa. Because otherwise, to practice just sadhana like that, that's why Namo Mahavadanyaya, Krishna Prema Pradaya, Krishna Chaitanya. And obviously that mercy is coming to us, to Srila Prabhupada and his disciples. So this Namo Mahavadanyaya, the Lord, that he is not asking you to do this or that. He said just chant Hare Krishna. Don't criticize devotees, just simply serve. That's it. So this Kripa is coming to us through Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is also, we want an intravenous injection which is, immediately, we don't have to do anything, or we have to do something. You at least and the Lord is taking so many steps, you take one step, and that one step is okay, we chant 16 rounds every day, we do some simple things like that. Just, actually Mahaprabhu said, chant Hare Krishna, don't criticize devotees. We'll take it back. So that much, if we are willing to do, right, that would be but seems like the second one of don't criticize devotees becomes very difficult. So even that becomes very difficult for us. So this is our problem. So we have to see, so we have to understand that we are actually in this. So if we understand, actually in one of the points is mentioned that intelligence means to understand the extent of the mercy that we are receiving. I think in Chaitanya Charitamrita there is a verse which mentioned that intelligence means you apply your intelligence to understand the mercy. Yeah, you forgetful. That's the problem. So if we are truly intelligent, we'll apply the intelligence to understand the extent of mercy which is coming in spite of nothing that I have done, and how many anarthas I have and I had and all that, and still I'm getting the association of devotees, I'm getting a chance to serve and all that. I'm not looking at that. I'm looking at those tiny mini things which are also coming because of my own karma only, and they are only coming for my own purification. So this is my problem. So I have to understand this kripa is coming infinitely to me. So
what about the position? Can sadhana siddhas become?
I'll tell you briefly, but yeah, so basically Prabhupada says very clearly, Siddha means Siddha. It doesn't matter whether you are sadhana Siddha. Once you are Siddha, you are Siddha. Like that. So once you become completely pure, whether you became because of mercy, because of sadhana or whatever, you are a Siddha. So you become like a Nitya Siddha. Because you go back to the spiritual world. You stay here till the time that you have, then you go back to the spiritual world. So it doesn't matter whether you are, then you are a Nitya Siddha. Now that Nitya Siddha, whether he sometime fell or whatever, in one sense, it's outside of the realm, it doesn't matter. Krishna says you fall once, then you never come back. So it's actually in one sense doesn't matter. Then you are like a Nitya Siddha. In one sense. So the main point of Nitya Siddha is they come to the material world either by their own wish or by the Lord's personal desire. That's the main point. And whereas the sadhana siddhas and kripa siddhas, we have fallen sick because we have revolted against the Lord. And now there is the chance to have the mercy, accept the mercy of the Lord and engage in sadhana bhakti to go back. That's the point. So types of sadhana siddhas, there are two types. There is mixed or pure. So even sadhana siddhas, they can become pure, right, eventually. So the one which are mixed, they are contaminated by jnana and karma. That means they are engaged in, they want something for themselves. We have experienced this in our service. I experience this all the time. I want something for myself. So that is karma. Enthusiastic or fruitive. I want some fruit I want for myself. And then philosophical speculation. We are habituated to philosophical speculation. And Prabhupada says you're enthusiastic about fruitive activities, habituated to philosophical speculation. But the pure devotees, they are completely absorbed in service of the Lord, regardless of how and where they are situated. Their enthusiasm for service, like we were discussing just a couple of days, but their enthusiasm of service doesn't go down. That's the point. Their enthusiasm of service doesn't go down. They will keep serving, irrespective of whether the situation is like this or that. Right? So, an example of this is visiting holy places here, which is being mentioned. Prabhupada says that the pure devotees are completely satisfied in transcendental service to the Lord. So, there is no necessity for rituals, visit holy places of pilgrimage, etc. They don't have to necessarily, they are so satisfied in the service itself. Very satisfied in the service. So, there is no need to go here, even to the extent of visiting holy places. Okay? Mixed devotees, they have to do the prescribed duties. Visiting pilgrimage sites. So this was like a visiting holy places, like a prescribed duty. So mixed devotees, they have to do it. Whereas a pure devotee, because he is completely engaged in the service of the Lord, he doesn't have to. So this point is, so this is essentially, if essentially you want something like that, then you have to do a duty also according to related to that. So I want some fruitive results and all that. So for my purification, I have to perform these rituals. I have to do that. But a person who is at an elevated platform, he is engaged in pure service, he doesn't want anything for himself. He doesn't have anything to, like Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, I only act to set an example. I don't have any duty. But if I don't do my duty, then all of you guys are going to follow me. So just to set an example, Mama Vartmanu Vartante Manushya Partha Sarvasa. They will follow me. So that is why I do the duty. Well, similarly, the pure devotee also, he doesn't have to do any of these rituals of going to there. He can be stated in one place, he can be doing his service, and he can go back to Godhead. Right? So this is the point which is being mentioned. So Srila Narottam Das Thakur, Prabhupada quotes in the purport, he says that, you want to read this, Prabhu, just to get people to visit holy, that one?
Sri Narottam Das Thakur.
Yeah.
Sri Narottam Das Thakur says this: to visit holy places of pilgrimage is another bewilderment of the mind, because devotional service to the Lord at any place is the last word in spiritual perfection.
I was struck by this point. It is the last word in spiritual perfection. What is the last word in spiritual perfection? Spiritual perfection, the last word. Devotional service, any place. Any place, any circumstance, etc. If I am engaged truly in devotional service, but the devotional service, if it is pure, that means it's not contaminated by karma and jnana, then that is the last word. So I have to think, no, I have to be here, I have to be there, etc. Even Seattle becomes a dham, or anything becomes a dham. Yeah, right? It became a dham because there is an opportunity to perform devotional service. So it becomes a dham. We don't have to think, oh, I couldn't go to this place. This is the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. Wherever he went, became like a place like that. So this is a very important. So we do stay. That doesn't mean we don't go to holy places at all. That's another. There is a NOI. There's a nice word. NOI I'm going to cover later on the Bhakti Gita. Niyam agraha. So we can fall into either of these, which means I follow the ritual just because I want to follow the rituals, or I don't follow the rituals because I don't care for them. Both are wrong. Both are wrong. So what I have to understand is I can go. That's like I don't become averse to going to holy place. So I go to the holy place. So I might have my reasons. Okay, I get association of devotees. I get some chance to rejuvenate myself. I get some, if we are unable to meet some of our Diksha Gurus, etc., we get Vapu association of Gurus. So many, and sometimes we stay in the same place, we become complacent. We see devotees who are so many devotees dedicated in so many different ways. It gives us inspiration. So if we are going for those things, we go to holy places. Also, obviously there is mercy coming in the holy place. So it's not like, so you don't go either ways like that. It's very easy to say, you're going to holy place. What is the need? You just be here. That's one way of doing it. What's that?
Go to holy places for devotion service, like Guru Maharaj, they all go for devotion.
Yes.
To these places for preaching.
Yeah.
That's their devotion service.
Yeah, so you can go there for preaching, you go there for purification, you go there for preaching, you go there for, so if you're going there for service, etc., then you can do. So we basically in everything, we try to see what is my intent of doing that. At the end of it, the last word in spiritual perfection is service. If it's my mood of service that I am doing to prepare myself for the right service, to serve finally and all that, right? We have to hear, we have to serve, we have to do these things also sometimes to prepare ourselves so that we can serve nicely. And hearing and chanting anyways is a service too. And then, so basically, enthusiasm in service that's what a pure devotee has. They are absorbed in service irrespective of circumstances. And like we were discussing a day back, that essentially we know that if I become less enthusiastic in service, that means I am not giving myself, my talent, my money, my time, my intelligence. I'm not giving that. If I don't give that because of some circumstances that are happening, then that's a position of a mixed devotee. And whose loss is that? It's my loss. I can say, oh, this is not happening, that's not happening because of this, or this person, or that person, or this or that. I can say so many things, but because of that, I am not giving myself. Whose loss is it? It's my loss. This can happen. This happens to be. If my enthusiasm goes down, so much trouble in doing this service. Too much this and that. And because of that, my strong enthusiasm for service is going down. It's my loss. A pure devotee a pure devotee means, or at least who is trying to improve. But a completely pure devotee, he is always completely enthusiastic, irrespective of circumstances. And if we want to try to improve, we have to look and go beyond the externals and say, my thing shouldn't go down. And that is that, and the proof of my faith shouldn't go down. My enthusiasm for service shouldn't go down. So that's the point, which is, if we're just relating this to the point of the pure devotees of the Lord, because they are constantly engaged in service, they didn't go to the holy places of pilgrimage. But that means whatever circumstances come, they are engaged. They are completely giving. And this is the example that we see of so many Prabhupada disciples, Harilas Prabhu here. Even many of our devotees here, they are completely engaged all the time. So that's what we want to do. And we need to, otherwise Prabhupada is saying we have the depth of gratitude. You see, we have this, every human being is indebted to who all? as being mentioned here. We can think about. Sometimes people say, do we sometimes think, what am I indebted for to anybody? So many people, they don't realize that, right? We don't not indebted to anybody, and they're breathing air at the same time, right? You're breathing air at the same time. You're eating the food at the same time. You're enjoying the sunlight at the same time. You're cursing the sun also. It's too hard. This is there. This is like that. All these things are happening. So many things. Cursing my parents, cursing my friends, and this other things. So many things are going on. Yeah. But actually, am I realizing how many people I am relying on in my life, whole life? You know. So this point has to be understood. So this debt of gratitude is something. So we are obliged to repay it. Now here's the interesting point. If I think that I am not obliged to repay, does that mean that I am relieved of the debt? I might think like that. It's okay. I don't, yeah, that's there, but there are so many issues and there are so many other things out there. Yeah? So because of that, I don't have time to think about all these things. Or just consciously, I don't give any importance to the fact that I am obliged. Does that mean I'm relieved of the debt? I'm not relieved of the debt. So I'm carrying so much debt. Carrying so much debt. So it's a huge, if you could carry a picture of what debt I'm carrying, you will know so much debt I'm carrying. It's like tons and tons of debt I'm carrying.
So should
If we actually get an idea about that, don't we actually will feel like, wow, what can I do to get relieved of this thing? I'll come to. But Prabhupada, in one of the points, he's saying, I don't have the exact, but I'm paraphrasing. He said, if you take anything from anybody, but you don't give back, then you have to give back. That reaction is going to come to you. It's not possible that you can't. It's not possible. Sometimes we try to, as devotees also, oh, it's okay, I do this thing, it doesn't matter. No, it will come back. And also in the disguise of devotional service, we can't digress so many other things. That's another, I can break the law of the state because I'm a devotee. Right? To me, it's sort similar to this offense 7. On the strength of devotional service, I can do this or that. So we have a debt to the state also. So many things are being provided. We have to follow the laws. So there are so many things like that. If I try to think that, I don't have any debt of anybody, that doesn't mean the debt is not there. It's like the prisoner going out, say, I didn't commit any offense. But he did. He just forgot about it. So that doesn't mean the state is not after him. When another police catches him, he's going to go into the jail. Just because he forgot about it. That doesn't mean anything. So we have to understand this point.
So
Do you have a question or?
should we
Sorry.
contemplate on how we are obliged to
Yeah.
others, or should we follow following the rules, like just contemplate on how we are related to Krishna, and Krishna will create circumstances that we can repay others also.
So my understanding of this is, as I wrote down, that if we just keep serving, it's possible that we have to serve, obviously. We don't have to, it's not that we don't have to serve Krishna. We serve Krishna, we serve the devotees all the time. But a contemplation of how much indebted I am to everybody, including Krishna himself and the devotees and everybody, so many other people in this world, that contemplation is going to increase my sincerity and the urgency that I feel for doing devotional service, won't it? Because otherwise I am thinking like, it's okay, it's like a good thing I'm doing. See, I'm doing devotional service. Wow, devotional service. I'm doing that tendency can come. I'm doing, so many other people are not doing, I'm doing. So many that kind of thoughts can come. But if I realize that I am so indebted, I have so much karma, not just karma, that's karma, the reactions coming, but I am so much indebted for so many I have received that I am not giving. I have no other, that's the bare minimum I can try for. Then my enthusiasm for service and my drive for service is going to go up. If we see the difference between, what Prabhupada has given and Prabhupada's disciples, what is their drive for service, their attitude of respect and other things, because which is all there, is infinite. It's so much. Isn't it? The drive is so much because they are constantly feeling indebted to their Guru, to Krishna. But we also obviously have received so much, as Prabhupada is saying in the purport, demigods. We are receiving so many things through. And finally everything coming to Krishna. But there are so many agents of Krishna. Our own parents, some of these other things. We just think like, it's all... that's right. We have to. We look at people in this world or things in this world from a point of that I am little higher or lower, without understanding that actually I am doing that, because we unconsciously do that. So I have to understand my position is only Gopi Bhartur Padakamalaya Das Das Dasam Das. This is the toughest thing in life. But if we understand how much I am, so what all I have received. So attitude of gratitude and give to the very root. So give to Krishna whatever we can give. Is there any end? Otherwise I will die and I would have not given something. Isn't that is the greatest tragedy of human life? I kept something with myself, I did not give. I came with nothing, I took things, so many things, I kept with myself and I did not give, and I died and I came back again. So what is a pure devotee? He gave. He just gave everything. Like Harilas Prabhu says, if you don't use it, you will lose it. You will lose it at the end of it. So just use it. That's what we have to try. So 3:27. Hiranyam. Okay, let's read it together. Hiranyam rajatam shayyam vasham se ajina kambalam yanam rathani bhan kanya dharam vritti karim api. The Brahmanas were not only given well-fed cows in charity, but also gold coins, bedding, clothing, animal skin sheets, blankets, horses, elephants, girls, and sufficient land for maintenance. Good to be a Brahman. Just given. So this is the point Prabhupada is going to talk about in this purport. Right? So many things Brahmanas were given. Huh?
Animal skin seed, that is.
Yeah, animal skin sheets. To meditate.
They can receive, we cannot. I mean, we cannot
Yes,
use. But
at that time, yeah, they can use. In fact, there was one lecture that I heard for this. One which is not any lectures other than, there's one other lecture also which I couldn't complete hearing, but there's one lecture by Bhakti Vidyapun Maharaj, and he gives these points about what all they received and what all is the importance of receiving in each one of these. So the Brahmanas, so even to cover this point, gold is required, to maintain yourself, bedding because you feel comfortable sleeping, clothing, animal skin sheets for meditation, blankets, horses, elephants to go around somewhat, girls for marriage, because they have difficulty in marriage, they have given girls for marriage, and sufficient land for maintenance. So the Brahmanas, they are proper recipients of charity. This is a very interesting point. Why only Brahmanas are recipients for charity? Why only Brahmanas are recipients?
Krishna says. They'll use it in Krishna service. Krishna also says, I
accept.
Yeah, I accept. Prabhupada makes a very important point here. He's not directly saying it is a Krishna service, but basically they are the ones, their whole life is only meant for the service of the spiritual and material growth of the society. So Brahmanas are not thinking about themselves. A true Brahmana, he is so busy only working for others. He's so busy just working for others completely all the time. That's the point which is being made. Because they are so busy only working for others, they are being provided. Because if you are not actually working for others and you receive, so it's the same point which we've covered before, right? You will get those things now. You cannot take those reactions will come to you. So it's actually not good for the other sections to receive charity, because they will not be able to, they don't give back like that. And if you don't give back and you take, there you go, again it's the same thing, you will not be able to. So there are specific things, actually Bhakti Vidyapur Maharaj mentions 2-3 points that if you get this thing and you don't give something, then this kind of reaction will come to you. There are different reactions which will come if you receive land or cows or girls or other thing, but you don't actually, you're not engaged in that kind of an activity. You see how dangerous that is. That's why a pure Brahmana is very difficult, because you are receiving but you are not actually engaging in that way. So don't spend any time. They are always working for others, right? So also Bhakti Vidyapur Maharaj says that the Brahmanas, in Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, Brahmanas are focused on moksha, engaged in liberation for themselves and helping the entire society. Time, okay, so we have to go. 45 over?
Yeah,
No.
What if it's all?
Okay, I have to cover it.
It's meeting plans.
Oh. So there we cover that they are not paid servants, they are always independent. Brahmanas are always independent. So they had no economic problems because they were provided, their necessities were always provided by the other sections of the society. And that's the way the Varnashram system was working. Okay? So the Krishna's caste system, Prabhupada is glorifying in the purport. The Lord created it, He values it, and He wants it. So social cooperation between the different castes has to happen. So it's arranged according to so basically different sections of the society. What I was struck by this is that Krishna specifically wants this. He very much values this, and that's why the Varnashram system, and Harilal Prabhu did this thing during the Anand Mela. Varnashram is extremely important. But it's in terms of quality of work rendered to the society. So again, the point is of how I'm giving back to the society, right? Not otherwise, not in terms of. So any enlightened family in Vedic culture, that's why families in Vedic culture, they were trained in this process of what is your function, what you will get from the society, but what you have to give to the society. So Brahmanas were trained like that, Kshatriyas were trained like that. How you have to respect the Brahmana, how you have to give to the Brahmanas, how you have to give to the society, and this is what you will get. You will get the taxes, you will get other things, and this is what Vaishyas have to do. So everybody was thoroughly trained. This is your position in society, this is what you get, but this is what you have to give. And that's how the whole social machine is working together very nicely. So that's the point which is being made. Otherwise, what happens is there is a fall down. So what happens is, Prabhupada says, the Brahmana class became easygoing, just like this bear. It became easygoing, just lying like that. So that was the whole cause of the problem. There's the Brahmanas, because they're getting so much, okay, I'm getting so much, right? So that become easygoing. So being fed by the society without having Brahmanical qualification, they become disqualified Brahmanas. So other members of the society also gradually fell down. So this is the start. And the Brahmanas became easygoing, and they started taking it. So now Kshatriya say, why should I take care of the Brahmanas? Okay, so I also do whatever I want to do. So they are trying to exploit not just the Brahmanas, the entire society. The Vaishyas are saying, why should we take care? Why should we give you taxes and all that? You guys are also just exploiting. The administrators are exploiting. So they also start cheating everybody. And the Shudras, they exploit the Shudras also. And Shudras say, everybody is exploiting me. So they start to become the administrators in one sense. So now the Shudras and the Vaishyas, Prabhupada says there is an entire society, Brahmana and Kshatrika qualities are not even there. So it's only some Vaishyas and the Shudras. And the Shudras only become the administrators of the society. So the practical application is, don't become easygoing in life. Anything you become easygoing, you're going to have a problem. So there are two things to give up, as Bhagavad Gita says: egoism, that I am doing something, and second is lethargy. So if I become lazy or easygoing, that's a problem. If I give up egoism, that's a problem. So last verse. Okay, so I'll just read the translation then. Thereafter they offered the Brahmanas highly delicious foodstuffs, first offered to the personality of Godhead, and offered their respectful obeisances by touching their heads to the ground. They lived perfectly by protecting the cows and the Brahmanas. So again, they are offering so much delicious foodstuffs, prasadam offered to God, they are offering to the Brahmanas, they are touching their feet to the ground, and they live perfectly by protecting the cows and the Brahmanas. Again, it's the Brahminical culture and protection of the cows. So Prabhupada says in the purport, there are three principles of human civilization. You have to protect the cows, you have to protect the Brahminical culture, and above all, you become a pure devotee of the Lord. And that is the highest goal of human life, that you become a pure devotee of the Lord. Without that, nothing is of value. And the Yadus were highly cultured. Again, we can see by this, their behavior is to the point of human perfection. They offered charity, they offered obeisances by touching their head to the ground. So their being cursed is only by the desire of the Lord. And a warning to all concerned, as we talked about, that not to behave lightly with Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. And the final point is our favorite, how prasadam is being offered. So prasadam is mercy of the Lord, it's remnants of a sacrifice. So we make a sacrifice, we are giving it to God, and then we are getting the remnants. It's supplied by the Lord, it's not created in a human factory. Again, we have to be indebted because it's not created in a human factory. It frees us from sinful reactions, else we eat only sin. So Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, they only accept prasadam for eating. There is a word used in the purport which says Uru Rasam, means prasadam is highly delicious prasadam. And this is what Prabhupada stressed a lot, right? That the prasadam be highly delicious. So hundreds of delicacies that were offered. So the criterion for offering to the Lord is twofold. One is that the prasadam should be made by items in the mode of goodness. So these are, the hundreds of items which is combination of grains, vegetables and milk, because these things are in the mode of goodness. That's one thing. And second, it should be offered with devotional service, with love. So if we offer these two criteria, then the Lord, Prabhupada says, positively eats. He's stressing again, it's not that Lord is not eating, Lord positively eats. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayashyati. So this is, Lord is positively eating the prasadam which is being offered. So that's the conclusion. The conclusion is, we don't become, this is a summary of these verses, we don't become easygoing because we always give to the society. So don't become lazy. And I say it to myself. Anything you take without giving will come back to you. The reaction is going to come back to us. So we always have to give. So we have to realize I am indebted and I have to give. And that's my purpose of devotional service. So we absorbed in enthusiastic service in spite of all kinds of circumstances that are coming to us. That is the position of a pure devotee. And we are aspiring for that platform. So be absorbed in that kind of service. It's our only treasured wealth. We don't have any other wealth. We can accomplish so many other things. Keep it in our storage. It's of no use unless we are using it for the service of the Lord. So and then another point is, we respect and appreciate how Lord has created this entire society, the entire Lord's Varnashram system. Everybody has to work together and appreciate, and so we cooperate with each other. We respect and appreciate the service done by everyone in the society, and be very careful to avoid any offense to a devotee. So if we are carrying out all of these 5 things, then we will go back to God and achieve the highest goal of life. Alright, so everybody is ready for that? Hare Krishna. And enjoy sumptuous prasadam. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Somebody? Alright.